It's time to discuss the taboo that NFL fans don't want to hear more so than any Kaepernick conversation, and that is Concussion Protocol. Now, according to Chris Nowinski, co-founder and CEO of Massachusetts-based Concussion Legacy Foundation, he posted a video on Twitter, and we can show it up here as I'm talking, which shows Jacoby Brissett, and he basically had a head-to-head hit in which he went a little limp, held his head, lay down for a few seconds before he was taken off and thrown back in the same amount of time it takes to cook a Hot Pocket. So basically, Chris Nowinski has come out and said that the NFL protocol is a fraud, which showed that, as was validated after the game, when Jacoby Brissett never did a press conference afterwards because he's in concussion protocol. He said it was immediate, and these experts should be able to tell that Jacoby Brissett could have had a concussion and should not have been able to come back into the game minutes later after a head-to-head hit. Now, some NFL fanboys who are so in love with the game, probably the same ones that don't like to see the players kneeling, but not going to get into that. We're here to discuss football. We'll probably yell that it wasn't even that tough of a hit and it wasn't enough for basically the Colts to keep Brissett off of the field. But when you look at it, he shows signs early on. Now, this is the whole idea of concussion protocol, is that you'd rather be safe than sorry. You'd rather take more measures than you have to rather than going the opposite and having a player going back into the game with suspected concussion, taking another hit, and going on to develop serious damage. Now, the whole idea of concussion protocol is that we don't know, like the idea that CTE can only be discovered after death. There's that murky area where you'd rather take more precaution than not. And the whole criticism of the NFL is that Roger Goodell, whilst he wants a $20 million or $50 million private jet in his new contract, is not willing to put in more funding and take more precaution than anything else. And that's why they come under such harsh scrutiny, because you see instances like this and a team would rather send in a clearly injured player than go on and play with the backup. Now, when your backup's got toes in it, I understand they don't want him to even go forward and take a snap, but could it be that maybe they could have had Colin Kaepernick in there as a backup? I'm not going to get into that either. But regardless, the crowd rejoiced as Jacoby Brissett comes back in before Tolson can even take a snap. And that is this whole mentality that surrounds the NFL. They're warriors. They can come back in after their brain's just been rattled around a cage, and it's fine for them to come back in and play, because that's what the NFL is all about. Well, according to Nowinski, who has extensive experience in this field, he thought it was a disgrace. I think it was pretty much a disgrace to see it afterwards. And I think that this is the whole idea around the NFL, that they just don't take enough care about this. They just don't care enough to really take precaution. What happens if Jacoby Brissett comes back in, takes another hit to the head? You're left with that on your hands. And he never participated in the interviews afterwards, and is supposedly been now going into concussion protocol. Why was it not identified right there and then? Why not just take a couple of plays, even just wait a little bit? But they threw him back in before the backup could even go forth and snap the ball. That's when you know it's ridiculous. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Francis Maxwell on all social platforms. Catch you soon.